Hello everyone, and welcome to this course, which I named by Offensive Software Exploitation, or OSE. Now, this course was in the past, I would say, I used to teach a course called Hacking Techniques. It's already available or at least an old version of it actually is available on Open Security Training, and you can see, this was the course. You can uh, learning outcomes, all of those, the description, topics. You can see the slides, any material that was used. You can see, you can download and use any of them. So feel free to use them. Yeah, I would say that's an old version of this course, but of this hacking techniques course. I did do a couple of other updates, but this is still, I would say, still a good one. Now, what I did at Champlain College is I took only the exploitation part and taught that as a course, and I named it as Offensive Software Exploitation. So, in the hacking techniques, as you can see here, it covers scanning, fingerprinting, reconnaissance, all those kind of stuff. Even in the back at that time, we used to use Backtrack. Excuse me. Uh, but like I said, that was the old version of the course. The recent one does use Kali. Anyway, these were the topics that were covered, so they are not just focusing on exploitation. But this course is a little bit different. It only focuses on the exploitation part. So let me just explain a little bit about it more, so you'll have an idea what will be covered. Everything in this course is actually based on material which is already online. So there is nothing like rocket science and stuff that is not available anywhere else. You can find them already online. I would say I compile them together, and I'm gonna run these videos sessions to help maybe make the understanding of different techniques of exploitation a little bit more easier. The software I use for the exploitation, some of them, I would say maybe one or two of them were written by me. Others, you can find them on ExploitDB. I will refer to them. You'll find them in each lab, which software we are using. Also, I use Stephen Bradshaw's vulnerable server, and that's a very famous application, which is vulnerable by design, and it was developed that way to help people get into software exploitation. So that's the software which we're using. Tools, mainly Immunity Debugger and the Corlan Teams Mona plugin. We will show, and I show how you install and configure that. That's not a big problem. Kali Linux, you'll need that for a couple of the generating the shell code itself, and for testing and fuzzing and all of those kind of stuff. I use CFF Explorer, even though there are others. I will refer to them, especially in excuse me. I will refer to them whenever possible. Like there are other really good tools. We'll see them, or at least I will mention them. We might not use all of them. You'll need probably a Netcat, Windows Netcat version. So these are mainly the tools, but I will update this. This is still work in development. The content is available, but these recordings, which I'm doing now, I'm recording them as we go through the course. Targets used, I used Windows 10. I just downloaded one from Microsoft's VMs. The current version I'm using is this one. You can find them, you can download them from here. I would say, except probably, I won't promise, but I would say except for the Egg Hunters lab, because it requires a different Egg Hunter, the one that runs on pre 10 doesn't run on a Windows 10 machine because of the I would say, the system calls that are used. So uh, it depends. If I find time, I will do the Egg Hunter on Windows 10. But what I did in this course at the college was the one using Windows 7. So you might need to find the Windows 7, and I think some people on Twitter have already shared the URLs to download those from archive.org. Now, the topics that are going to be covered are like today in this video, we will cover the basics, the P format, the DLLs, what is a DLL, just the basics about an executable, I would say, and why I want you to at least have an idea of these basics. Then we'll go into bug hunting and fuzzing, explain what's the idea of bug hunting, how do you do bug hunting, what's fuzzing, how do you do fuzzing. We won't dive too much into those, but at least you'll have a fair good idea of both concepts and how to do them. Then we'll go into we'll talk about memory corruption, because exploitation is mostly about memory corruption, and then buffer overflows. So we'll start into that. In each, by the way, each one of these there will be, I would say, uh, uh, a theoretical part and a hands-on part. So the course is not going to be just theory and me blah 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 talking and you listening. No, you will have lots of work to do by yourself, either by following what I'm doing, or you go and repeat whatever I did on some other application. I'll also cover a little bit about Metasploit, the Metasploit framework, because we'll need that for different reasons, whether it's generating shellcode or even we'll need it later on when we do some post-exploitation stuff. Mitigation techniques, I will also explain a little bit about. I wouldn't say a little bit, but I will explain about the most common mitigation techniques, whether they were techniques applied by the system, by the compiler, what's the difference. I will cover those also. SEH and jumping strategies. So we will talk about structure exception handler, how to uh, do exploitation using SEH, taking advantage of the SEH. Also, what are the different jumping strategies that you can use to jump and move around in memory, because you'll need that. It's not always going to be straightforward, so you'll need different methods and techniques to jump around in memory. Egg Hunter, that's a really famous and good technique that you will use to maybe throw your payload somewhere, I mean the shellcode somewhere, and then you'll need some other shellcode to go fetch that and execute it. So that's what basically an egg hunter will be doing. I will also explain what return-oriented programming is. So Rob, we will have at least we will cover what is ROP, why is it available, how to use the tools available that we can use, and we'll do at least two examples of exploitation using ROP. By the way, most of the topics will include two examples. Sometimes they will be on vulnerable server and a real life application, and sometimes it might be just on two real life applications. It depends. Post exploitation, I will cover a little bit about post exploitation, but mainly here, uh, the thing I'm focusing on in post exploitation is tunneling and how to, uh, I would say, further advance in a network and reach networks that you didn't have direct access to. So, how can I exploit a system, gain access to it, and use that access and lever, or let's say leverage the access on that system to reach another system in another network maybe. So that's mainly how what mostly I will focus on in the post exploitation part, and especially with the tunneling, especially let's say, because I've seen this many times. uh, Usually if our tunnels are straightforward, it might be easy, but dealing with reverse tunnels, I would say that's it's just requires a little bit of understanding. So we'll do at least also 2 labs on post exploitation, with a focus, as I said, on the uh, tunneling and port forwarding and stuff like that. Finally, manual code injection. So how can I take an application and manually inject my malicious payload into it? There are many techniques. We will at least maybe cover 2 of them. One is already very well known, and the other, I would say, is not very well known, but it's a really good one. But it depends on the understanding of how the application works. So we will do 2 of them, and those are both of them will be, like I said, manual code injection. So it's not about using a tool which you just say, hey, go take the shell code and inject it into this executable. It's not going to be like that. Video recordings, like you see here, the Arabic version is already available. I've until this recording, we do have a fair good amount of recordings because there wasn't at this time any English version. But as you can see here, both eLearnSecurity and INI, which are, I would say, they are both the same company now, decided to sponsor this English version. So they will be helping me, I would say, they will be sponsoring this. How they are going to help me, we will see. But anyway, uh, thanks to them for giving me this opportunity to do these recordings for the public. And yeah, that's basically. Or let me just 2 things, maybe just before I finish this main page. So useful resources. I would say the resource number 1 is Cortland Teams blog. Please go check that. Most of the work, if not, I would say, yeah, I would say most of the work is based on Peter his work on the Cortland team. They have a really great series of posts, and they are very detailed. I won't go into that level of detail. It's I would say it's crazy the level of detail that they have there. So please, if these videos are not enough and you're still curious about something, or you need to, like you say, I need more about this, please go check uh, their uh, their blog posts, especially for exploitation. I know they do not cover like post exploitation stuff and like manual injection, these kind of stuff, but and maybe even Metasploit, but still everything. I would say everything related to exploitation is found there. So that's, I would say, your resource number 1. Everything else I will keep adding to, not probably this page, but at least in each single lab slides, you will see that there. Before I go to the slides and the labs, since I mentioned them, I would say this work itself, or this course itself, would not have happened without the people who are putting their work out there. So thanks to everyone who has contributed and published their work for the public to take advantage of. So thank you, guys, uh, each one of you. I don't want to mention names. So the way I kind of now it's structured, you'll see there's a labs directory with the labs inside of it. Okay, uh, network is a little bit slow. So you'll see the labs. These are the labs that are until now on the other version of the course. We are currently at lab 6, or actually we are at lab 7. That's the one which will be coming. And don't worry, we will catch up with them and we'll have the exact same amount of labs. So the labs will be inside here. You'll see the lab document. The README is just this saying thanking you for your interest. And if there's a file, you'll find this file shared, or if there's like an exploit template, or if there's any files to be shared, you'll find them over here. Any file that has a password, please remember the password will be infected, or the word infected. That's a password. I use that. So, and I think you'll find that in this lab. So see, the password is infected. We'll come back to that. So that's basically the labs. Notes if there are topics covered which I write some notes. I will be sharing the notes and I'll give the number of that section. So this was section 6. I might have, I think we did other sections with other notes. So I will search for them and just upload them. But that's how this will be structured. Slides, you'll find the slides. They just kind of, I would say, help you understand a couple of the topics. They are not to be used as the only resource for studying. No, they usually help me with my help me guide the presentation, guide the session. So please don't depend on them and don't depend on them for your understanding, and try to see each one of those references which I have in every all of the slides, because at the end the slides were prepared depending on, like I said, other people's work. So that's mainly the course, how it's structured. I would say it's good if you like copy the clone the repository. So later on, whenever we do an update, you can just pull that update. So that way you'll stay up to date with the course material that I will be sharing. Everything will be over here. Like I said, I will update this with this English version, because now this is video number 1, so you'll find it in this playlist. Yeah, and that's it for I would say for this introduction to the course. I hope it will be. Oh, before I end, by the way, 2 things. This course will be really helpful for you if you are doing your if you do any course which has exploitation, then these topics are more than enough for that course. And if I want to name topics here, sorry, certificates here, I would say OSCP, CPPT from eLearnSecurity, and OSCP from offensive security. I would say even the exploit development course from from eLearnSecurity, it covers the Windows part. I'm not going to go into Linux. Uh, I'm not going to do that. I will just cover the Windows part, and it will also be more than enough, by the way, for your OSCE from from offensive security. Sorry. So every course that has an exploitation part, whether that course is just about exploitation or it has an exploitation part, this course will be more than enough, by the way, to pass that section. Okay, so if you want to pass those certificates, especially like I said again, especially the exploitation part, then this course will definitely help you succeed there. I will not be covering any web topics. I'm not interested in that area, but it's mainly uh, these are the topics. We might add something in the future, but at least for now, this is what will be covered in this course. So I would say that's all for this recording, this video, and we will start the our first video with number 1, and our first subject will be uh, the basics about the portable executable format, what's a DLL, etc., all of that. So get your system ready, your VMs ready, like you see I'm running in a VM, and get your tools ready, and let's get started. Thank you, and see you in the next video.